Large double and
Hot chocolate.
a hot chocolate.
That'll be $2.55, please.
Hey, you know 1 cup of coffee a day can take 5 years off your life?
Do you know skateboarding without a helmet can take 50 years off your life?
Well, I guess I'll just have to live to be 150 then.
Thank you. Have you thought about what you want to see today?
Well, as long as it isn't school, I'm okay.
You know, we could rename this exercise to take your kid to work and right back to school day.
Okay, relax. I've got a few questions.
Like what?
Like, how much do you make?
You'd have to pay for my own. Got any cash?
Get lost.
Seatbelt.
So you're the big safety guy. How do you make sure nobody gets hurt?
Good question. Let's get you started with your orientation. And we'll get you some safety gear, too.
Well, how does everyone stay safe?
Well, for starters, we have a variety of educational safety programs. The employers that we train use these programs, and we put in a control system to help reduce or eliminate hazardous jobs. You'll see what I mean when we do the tour. Come on.
Come on.
Listen, goofing off can get you killed around here. You gotta be alert at all times. Here, come with me and I'll show you what I mean. Steve,
How you doing?
this is my son. Mike, this is Steve.
Hey, Mike.
One of the most safety-conscious employees of the company. He's also got a great track record for pre-task analysis.
What's that? Well, at the beginning of each day or whenever we start a new task, we like to stop and think, which means we take a look at the job we're going to be doing, the area we're going to be working in, and we identify any hazards involved in doing that job and who might be affected by us doing it.
How do you know what to look out for?
Yeah, here. I use this little checklist here every day. It's a really great reminder to look out for all possible hazards. When you do a job like this every day, it's not hard to overlook something that could seriously hurt you. So you got to remember, the hazards are always there. It's up to us to keep it safe.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Hey, take care. Yeah. We'll see you on the site, Mike.
Go ahead, I'll wait till you go through.
Did you do a pre-task analysis for this job? This is my son, Mike. I'm kind of showing him the ropes today, especially how we work safety on the job. Do you mind giving me a hand showing the kid how we do a pre-task analysis? You see, Mike, there are 4 things that come together to create a safe work site. People, equipment, materials, and the work site itself. People, well, it's inevitable. We all make mistakes. And that's why we try to remind the guys on the job to see it again for the first time, which means you've got to stay on your toes day in and day out. Even with all that we do, we can still create a hazard for others. Equipment. Our tools do a lot of hard work and they take a lot of wear and tear. And so we have to check them regularly to make sure that they're in good condition and not becoming a hazard themselves. Materials. You have to be aware of what you're using because splinters of wood, dust, waste, hazardous chemicals, there's an unlimited amount of hazards when it comes to materials, so you have to take the time to be careful. And finally, the work site itself. Is it slippery? Can the wind knock you over? Should you have put up a barricade to warn others?
So, people, equipment, materials, and...
Work site. I'll get the tape up.
Thanks. No.
Get down to the basement right now.
Yeah, no problem.
You know, if I stop and think about it, I'm thirsty.
Here, get yourself a pop. I'll meet you back in the office in 5 minutes. And Mike, make sure you stay there until I get back. Right? One, two, three. Hey. What happened?
Well, some debris fell from the scaffold and knocked him off his ladder.
What do you mean?
Well, he was working over there. He got called away, and while he was away, this other crew started working on the scaffold above his ladder. I don't think he realized they were there working when he came back.
So some debris fell and knocked him off his ladder.
Yeah.
Get this signed and on my desk right away.
Vital signs are good. ETA to hospital is less than 10 minutes.
What happened? How come they made me stay here?
A worker got hurt on the job and we had to deal with it. This was the safest place for you to be at the time. Come on in my office, I'll show you what I mean. The worker had done an FLRA prior to starting his job.
What's an FLRA?
Field Level Risk Assessment. It means you check out your work site before you start the job. Here's the field level risk assessment the worker used before he started. He noted the scaffold in his area, but not the work in progress on it. Then he was called away. He was gone for 30 minutes. And when he returned, he got back up the ladder and was just about to start work when some debris fell off the scaffold from above. This startled him. He lost his balance and he fell.
So the scaffold guys did it.
Well, not exactly. You see, the scaffold guys also filled out a field level risk assessment, and they noted the ladder, but not that there was a worker there. So when the first worker got back, the workers on the scaffold didn't know he was there. What the worker on the ladder should have did was reassess his situation as soon as he got back to see if anything had changed.
So it's his own fault.
It's not about whose fault it is. It's about what was missed. You see this skill saw? Why do you think it's tagged out of service?
Well, the cord is frayed. You could get a shock.
Very good. And what you just did is what every worker should do at the beginning of each day and throughout the day. You have to keep an eye on your tools.
That's also part of the field level risk assessment you do before each job, right?
Right. After you look around and find the risks and hazards and equipment you're going to use, the next step is to assess and control those hazards. With every hazard, an assessment is needed to figure out the level of risk, which brings up two handy questions you can ask yourself every day. One, what would the consequence of this hazard be? And two, how likely is this hazard to happen? One of the hardest things to do is to look at a common job as if you've never done it before and see the hazards again for the first time.
Field level risk assessment. It's a 4-step process. First, stop and think about the job you are about to begin. Second, look around and identify the hazards. Third, assess the hazards. Fourth, use the proper controls. Then finally, you can start or resume your work safely.